Chris Long, the VP of Marketing at Go Fish Digital, is stopping off at my office. I was supposed to meet up with him at his place or in between somewhere. Microsoft big chat happened and that got all messed up. So several weeks later, he decided to come out to me, which is great. Looking forward to chatting with him about all sorts of stuff. I know he's huge on LinkedIn and he shares so much great information and we have a long history together. So hope you enjoy this interview. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to the video. Bye-bye. Chris, thank you so much for coming out here. Appreciate it. You're the VP of Marketing at Go Fish Digital. You've been doing this at Go Fish for a while now, right? 6.5, almost 7 years.
Yeah, about 7 years now, yep.
Cool, so when did you get into, well, first tell people in this camera over here who you are outside of what I just said.
Yep, so I'm Chris Long. I'm the VP of Marketing at Go Fish Digital. I head up a lot of our own internal marketing initiatives, as well as also work on some of our enterprise tech level of accounts and inform on their SEO strategy.
Excellent. So you got into SEO at what age? Not age, but year.
So I got into SEO about 2013. I majored in finance and I had a couple jobs and internships that, honestly, I didn't really like. I thought that was going to be the career path for me. I did like dealing with, numbers to a certain degree. So I like that aspect, but the job just didn't really seem for me. And then got out of college and kind of realized that, hey, this is what I was set up to do. This was my major. So I really just kind of had a kind of moment of clarity where I just started saying, hey, no, I want to switch. And I was in Pittsburgh at the time, so I started calling on every SEO agency in town, web design agency, anyone that had SEO listed on their website, I would call them.
How did you find SEO? What was the catalyst to say I want to do SEO?
That was it's a good question. I think it was probably just an article I had read at the time. I was aware of it, but I knew it was interesting and seemed kind of to me at the time, the future of marketing, right? I was a recent college grad. I was I make all my purchasing decisions based off what I find online. So I think I read an article somewhere, and then I actually did an informational interview with some Andrew at Lunametrics, now acquired by Bounteous. And he pointed me the Moz Beginner's Guide to SEO. I read that in a couple of days, and really I was kind of hooked from there. I just kept picking up the phone until someone eventually said, yeah, I'll give you, kind of a small internship for 20 hours a week, and just kind of that's how it started.
Super interesting. I never heard of anybody going from the finance world to SEO. Maybe people watching this noticed that and have done that. But I haven't really seen that. I've seen lawyers do it. I've seen obviously a lot of marketers. I've seen a lot of people out of school. A lot of technical people do that, obviously programmers and stuff. But that's interesting. Very interesting. What didn't you like about it? You were only there for a few months, I guess, at this Merrill Lynch place, right?
Yeah, Merrill Lynch. That was an internship. And I mean, it was just kind of a standard internship. A lot of it was doing work that wasn't particularly exciting or thrilling. Who knows if I had stuck with it. But yeah, I just kind of was it just was one of those things where I think I had another internship at a municipal bonds type of place, and to be honest, at the time I didn't really even understand what we did. It was very confusing, and I just really didn't. I would go to work and I just wouldn't enjoy the nature of the work, and I was this obviously it could get better, but this is a sign of how I'm enjoying my day to day. I think I need to switch up careers immediately. And the idea of marketing to me is a much more kind of exciting idea. Is how do you position a product? How do you what features do you talk about to different people, right? And then really how do you take that to the digital realm? So that was more exciting to me at the time than municipal bonds, anyways.
Super interesting. So how's your financing? How's your investments? Are you up this year?
I'm definitely not. No.
You should publish on your profile what your investments are, like any good hedge fund manager.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Stock picks and
your favorite, do you own SEMrush stock?
I do not own any SEMrush stock. No.
You can't. Conflict of interest. For somebody. It was funny because I guess they emailed. You probably got the email too, before they went public to get in on the pre-IPO for being a loyalist or something. And I'm I don't think so. And then I don't know if they're stopping now, but they're a great company, and I'm proud. It's very nice to see any search marketing company go public.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So that happened I think a year or so ago. But That's really cool.
I'm nervous about my stock. My one stock picking story is I bought Shopify in like October of 2021, right after we had our first, right after we had our first child. So I had a lot of time, and then it's gone down from there. So
yeah, that's probably not a good. Don't take financial advice from this guy over here.
Yeah,
but let's take SEO advice from you, right?
Yeah, please take SEO advice. SEO much more qualified to speak on.
That's funny. So you've been doing SEO since 2013. So that was after the early updates. It's after the Panda and Penguin updates. So you got into it when SEO was more mainstream, I guess, like more white hat.
A little more mainstream, yeah. It wasn't complete. I think I got in the days when it wasn't completely the Wild West, right? Like, when I got into it, meta keywords ceased to be a thing anymore. I think really I'm not sure how far it happened right when I joined, but I think Google had just taken keyword data out of Google Analytics. So that was like one of the big trending topics at the time. And then we were even like testing things like trying to like get, keyword, like the keywords in Search Console associated with your like the URLs, so like getting some data in there. But yeah, that was kind of the big news story. So it was a lot, like I think I came along around the time it became a lot more content focused. A lot like links were obviously and still are important, but like a lot more. Hey, Google, we know the search engines are trying to rank the best content possible. That's the goal you need to be optimizing for. So I've kind of always had that like lens. At least, like when it's terms of starting out anyways.
And how old is Goldfish Digital, the company itself?
Yeah, so we've been around since 2005.
2005.
Yeah. So nearly about 20 years, just under.
Interesting. So I guess you got a lot of the history from the previous people, the current people at the company to tell you how Google has changed over the years. One thing I found interesting was that Bill Slawski was working there, and you had a probably very close relationship with him over the years. So as some of you may know, Bill, who's probably one of the foundational people of the SEO industry, explaining how SEO works to people like myself and people who you read every single day, who probably teach you SEO. He kind of taught the SEO teachers about SEO.
Yeah.
And he was one person who had a lot of patience and who was able to really break down some really complex topics in a way that people like us could understand.
Yep.
And obviously, so many of you know that Bill tragically passed away probably about a year or so ago.
It's been a while. About a year.
And the whole SEO community was shocked and upset and sad. But he lives on through all of us, these videos and so forth. And you've had a long... he joined probably after you.
He joined before me, actually. He joined me,
yeah.
So he was already at Go Fish Digital. But it was incredible to get to work with him. I'll never forget one of my first like client calls, probably my first month of client calls, was an audit, and Bill like ran a lot of the audits we were doing at the time. He kind of set the foundation for them. He'd review them with the client, and I just remember like being a fly on the wall during one of his presentations, and just the amount of depth he was able to cover, just things I had never like heard of or even like really thought to like investigate about sites, like how is their servers returning errors, like how are certain patents like applying like today to their websites. It was really amazing to watch, and I just remember the client being like absolutely like floored with like the information he was able to pass on to them, and that was kind of my signal where I'm like, wow, I'm at a pretty legitimate place right here, like so. I'll never forget that. And I mean, Bill it was incredible to work with. He was like, similar to like how he was on Twitter, right? Where it's like if people have questions, he was always willing to answer. Same exact thing at the company. If you had a question on one of his patents, or hey, like how do we think Google is handling this particular site, like Bill would dedicate a ton of time to like helping you figure out that problem. So that's one of the things that'll always stick with me, is just how he would go above and beyond to help any single person who asked him a question. And it wasn't just online and like public presence, it was also, he was the exact same way behind closed doors.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I remember in the early days, it was Create a Site Forums. That was, led by Kim Krausberg, and a lot of like SEO icons, like Owen Johns. I mean, you name it, these people were in those forums, Whaley in the old days. It was an amazing forum, and Bill, like most of us would be like writing like short, like 1, 2, 3 line responses.
Yeah.
He would like write a book in a response to like really make sure people really understood it. And his blog posts on SEO by the Sea, on Go Fish Digital, those all remain. I think they're up. I think they're still live.
Yep, there.
And people are still learning from him today. And obviously, he's very instrumental in your career. But he's been instrumental in pretty much everybody's career of careers in SEO. So, you super lucky to have worked with him for so many years, I assume. So,
and some of Bill's ideas are like, I mean, a lot of the Bill's patents are still very relevant today, right? Like reasonable surfer model was huge, but like, I mean, something like I'm continuing to like explore is like he talked about him, I think back in like 2019 or something, like 2019 information gain scores, basically this concept of like Google can measure like net new content, right? It could like, and like that's going to be even like more important with like all the new stuff coming about AI than like ever before, right? Like how can Google figure out if something wasn't written by AI, if that's, indeed what they're trying to do, information gain scores would be a way they do it. And that's a patent Bill has been writing, like I've written about years ago.
I remember sitting him at a conference. We were both on stage, and these were not SEOs. These were not even technical people. I think they were barely even marketers. And he was like answering this question in a super technical, patent-y type of way. I'm looking at the people in the audience, like they're not getting it at all. And the wisdom he was like communicating, he didn't care. He just wanted to communicate it in the most precise way, even if the person didn't understand it. And I remember him, like, he was just above and beyond the level of most people. Obviously, if you're an SEO, you understood it super well.
Yeah.
And that was his key, talking to SEOs. And if there's anything that comes to mind, like maybe the first time you met him, or maybe the first time he like kind of blew your mind that you want to share in terms of a story?
I think really that first call is always like my kind of moment with Bill where it was like, wow, like I don't think I'd ever encountered an SEO as good as he was until like that very moment. So just watching him like go through that like huge audit. Like I said, his ability to really like you said, like we'd post, like if you had a question for him, it would never just be like a 2-word response back. Like you'd be getting like, a paragraph or 2 of responses about like why this happened, how it was. Like I think in some of your articles you referred to him as a professor, and I think that's one of the best analogies for Bill ever, right? Is like he was a true professor of SEO. I think he viewed it as a job to demystify SEO and really teach others and pass down his learnings and his knowledge, and that was like really the way he did it.
Awesome. All right. And he was super active on social. He was super active online. Like you said, obviously, he gave people personal interactions. He did phone calls. I heard with people all the time, Google Meets, Hangouts. I remember he was just super active. And you're super active, at least, I mean, LinkedIn. It seems like you are probably one of the most cited people on LinkedIn in terms of SEO. Am I incorrect in saying that?